What up, my fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork back again with a new movie review for you today. Here with my man, DiscoDork. We are here to review the new film, Aquaman. This is the next film. I guess it's the DCEU. The world's a DC.
They're not calling it the DCEU anymore.
Is it? I don't know.
The next DC superhero film.
There you go, Aquaman. So so this film stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, directed by James Wan, also starring Amber Heard, Nicole Kidman, Willem Dafoe,
Django Fett,
Dolph Lundgren.
Django Fett. Yeah.
Django Fett.
Yeah, from
oh yeah, that's right. Tamir Morrison. He did play Django. Yeah, so it's got a great cast. Great cast. So basically, this is kind of like the hero's journey story. I mean, we've seen this story before. Just kind of give you my overall impressions. I thought the movie was decent. I thought it was okay. I think the thing for me that really just kind of the main issues I kind of had with the film was really the script. I think there's a lot, and I wrote this in my mini review I did on Letterboxd, is I think it's kind of hard to get away from expository dialogue, especially in like an origin film, and this movie has a lot of exposition, and I just thought that the way it was done, sometimes it was just kind of eye-roll inducing in a lot of scenes. I just think the script didn't seem to really be that strong, specifically with certain scenes between Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and his father. There's an opening scene played by Michael Beach, who looks completely different, man. Michael Beach, I remember him from Waiting to Exhale.
Jesus, I always go back to True Romance.
I know. But I think we get a little bit of that. I think tonally, the movie kind of the comedic moments kind of undercut some of the more dramatic moments in the film, for me personally. But with that being said, I think James Wan is doing some incredible stuff with the visuals. He really does do a great job of realizing the world of Atlantis, the underwater world, and I really, really enjoyed that. I thought the action sequences were inventive, and they really worked for me. But overall, I just thought the story and character, and we'll get a little bit deeper into it, story and character, and who knows, the conversation me and Disco have, maybe we'll, it'll make me see it in a different light. But as of right now, those are some of the main issues I kind of had with the film. But let's get into it, man. What do you want to talk about when it comes to Aquaman?
All right, I'm gonna say this. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other reviews, blogs, or whatever that highlight and focus on the negatives of this film, and I agree with a majority of them. The script is lacking. The performance is sometimes some of the line reading of certain pieces of dialogue by certain characters in the cast are kind of cringeworthy. Yeah, I
noticed that with normally with the supporting cast. I think the main actors do a really good job with what they're given, but some of those lines by the supporting cast, I was like,
I don't deny that. I don't deny that maybe there's too much expositional dialogue. I didn't notice that. For me, it was just what people were saying and how they were saying it that I took issue with. I think outside of that, like so I'm acknowledging all those issues with the film, but outside of that, from here on out, for me, I'm just gonna have a love fest with the movie, because I tell you what, man, and it's gonna be controversial, because I'm gonna say this. Man, all right, we're gonna start from the beginning. So these are all my little bullet points that I want to hit on. The living room fight sequence that opens.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Film. Yeah, I thought that was really good.
That the reason why I want to talk about that is because that clip is online, if I'm not mistaken. I saw before I saw the movie.
That full action sequence.
I think so. I never watched it, but I know it was like, here's a clip, a fight scene from Aquaman, and then it's the living room fight sequence.
Okay.
The reason why I want to talk about that one is because spoilers if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, this is a spoiler. This is going to be a spoiler review. So
go see the movie. Yeah. It's worth seeing. But this James Wan in this sequence establishes the precedent for how he's going to capture this action in the film, right? Yeah. So some Atlantean dudes come bust in the house. This motherfucker James Wan loved making walls explode in the middle of like a nice peaceful moment. Like
you do that throughout the whole film,
dude. I'm teetering on. Is that a good thing or bad? Like, should I go on my negative? Anyway, a wall explodes. These motherfucking Atlanteans come in, which character design wise, I really found aesthetically pleasing. Like, cause you don't see that. It harkens back to like the stormtroopers. They're just all white, but I love the contrasted with the blue lights and stuff like that. So anyway, they bust in the house. Nicole Kidman as Atlantea, she's like, yo, take the baby. I'm about to son these dudes. So she gets her trident and she starts fighting the guys. And what James Wan does is he does away with shooting from an angle, cutting, and then, rapid cutting. Mm-hmm. The camera moved. The camera does the cutting through movement, not through actual slight splicing of footage. So, and it's an elaborate sequence when she's fighting like multiple people. She's flipping, she's throwing the trident, and the camera is so fluid around that living room where you can see you can see the geography. The geography is perfectly laid out. You know where everything and everyone is, but also you just have a more dynamic sequence because that there's no cutaway and the camera placement, so it'll start down low and it might go to an overhead shot as she's flipping over the couch and then come back down and swing around. I just found it visually exhilarating the way he chose to capture this particular confrontation.
Yeah, and it that's something that I've noticed with James Wan, because I first noticed that with Furious 7. Because he does that a lot within the action sequences. Within the action sequences, he does some very inventive camera movements that follows the action. So I knew that with this film, he was going to be playing with that a lot. And you see it in that opening sequence. I mean, a lot of it is very inventive, especially using digital camera movements and stuff like that. The way he's doing that, I thought it was really, really cool to see that as well.
Like we don't, as well at the very least in domestic or American cinema in regards to fight sequences. Mm-hmm. That's something that on the podcast we talk about all the time when we reference The Raid and the movies that Hong Kong or foreign cinema, like as far as their knowledge of how to shoot a fight sequence using long takes and things like that. Yeah. I feel like we don't get that a lot in superhero. Even you look at even the Marvel movies, and it's not a DC versus Marvel thing. I'm not shitting on the Marvel, but take any fight sequence from any Marvel film as far as editing and cutting, and I'm not saying that the way Marvel does it is incoherent. It is totally coherent. I love all the Marvel movies, right? But even in American cinema, you don't typically see an action sequence that is genuinely just fluid from start to finish in the way that James Wan shoots it. You can have a fluid action sequence with cuts and edits as long as you have minimum cuts, right? Yeah. But in a singular take like this, where the camera it's not like a Daredevil single take where the camera is at level and you just dollying back down the hall. No. But I mean, there are dynamic shots.
Yeah, he's moving
in it.
He's
right.
Yeah, I mean, it feels three-dimensional.
Yeah,
I mean, you have a sense of space within that house.
And I just want to note that I saw this in IMAX 3D, so that three-dimensional aspect was
3D
amplified. Yeah, IMAX 3D, right? And so all that shit was extra crazy. Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is the subway. I'm thinking of Subway because I'm hungry. The submarine sequence when the pirates and when Michael Beach and
yeah
right, and so like that entire sequence I liked, and actually that there's a character moment in there where you set up the confrontation, you set up the beef between Black Manta and Aquaman, and how that comes back for a character moment later on for Aquaman.
Yeah, and I'm glad because that was my fear with that scene, because it almost felt like, okay, we're establishing why Black Manta is going to have this vendetta against Arthur Curry because of what happened to his father. But at the same time, it almost felt like, okay, he said that he wasn't going to save his father because they've killed people. But to me, in the beginning of that scene, it almost felt like they were letting Arthur Curry off the hook for the death of his father, because I don't know. It's for some reason it just felt like, because when he tried to shoot at him again, it was because of his own doing why he got pinned underneath that whatever that was, that missile thing.
Right.
So, but then it comes back to he's saying like, well, help me or save him, and then Arthur Curry doesn't save him. But I was thinking, oh, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like there's that much motivation for him to have this vendetta against Arthur Curry because it just felt like it was of their own doing. But it does kind of come back in towards the end where Arthur Curry does feel a little regretful. It's like, I had a chance to save him and I chose not to, and I think that gives him an arc for his character in that moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something just didn't feel right about the way they were trying to establish that confrontation, that conflict between the two of those characters.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, as far as like superhero lore, and we'll just stick with the movies or whatever.
Yeah.
When if Superman saves somebody, he doesn't care. He doesn't care like, okay, if you did something bad or if you deserve this or you earn this. He's not gonna let you die. It might take you to jail or might have you receive justice whatever. But he's gonna save you because that's Superman's biggest revenge, that he can't save everyone. Yeah. He wants to save everyone. Yeah. He doesn't care what you did. If you're in peril, well, I don't care what you did before this moment. I'm still going to save you because you're a life worth saving. Mm-hmm. You're someone who could have redemption. Like, I don't know that. If I save your life, you might change and go on to do something great for other people.
Yeah.
So like in that regard, I understood, or I got that, because I was thinking like, man, you're a pirate, dude. Like, because I felt like the movie was trying to manipulate me into having sympathy for these people. But then I thought about it. Yeah. I've gone through stuff and I've made mistakes and I've reached out to my pops or whoever and say, yo, I need some help. And he doesn't go, well, how did you get yourself in this situation or whatever? He just says, all right, I got you. And so I can appreciate, being pinned under something, even though I got myself in that situation and me reaching out and someone still helping me in spite of that. You know what I'm saying? So that I kind of got.
Yeah, I don't know. Something just felt like something just felt off about the way that scene was kind of constructed, as far as like trying to build that conflict against Black Manta.
Yeah, I mean, I can get. I mean, it does seem kind of forced. Yeah, for going in, I knew once Aquaman came on board, and once his father saved. Because he was getting his ass whooped, Black Man was getting his ass whooped. Once his father saved him, I knew that was going to happen, and I was like,
you could kind of foresee it, especially after
with him giving him the knife.
That's the thing.
I was like, why would you do that right here?
And that goes to the whole thing I was saying about the exposition. It's just like it's like, I know we got it. Origin stories, we got to establish this stuff, and there's no way around that. But going through that whole exposition with the knife and the grandfather, and then seeing and then once Aquaman comes on board, I mean, it's kind of telling. All right, we know what's going to happen. His father's going to die. That's going to cause him to go overboard. But I like how the story takes that, and we'll get to that when it comes to King Orm, how he was working with Black Manta. Mm-hmm. Was the reason why he was trying to basically hijack that submarine so that he could kind of force so he could kind of force the surface world when they kind of invaded that area that they were in.
Yeah, he just wanted to start a war.
Yeah, he was manipulating that whole thing to try to get at least 4 of the kingdoms on his side so he could start the war with the surface world. Yeah. So
the next thing I want to talk about is, it's in the trailer, the arena fight between King Orm and Arthur Curry. Okay. Again, James Wan
that was good.
Shooting the shit out of this sequence, man. Yeah. And these people are underwater and they're fighting with tridents, which is almost akin to pole staff fighting. Mm-hmm. And I thought that to portray such a fast-moving yet fluid and comprehensible fight sequence underwater, I thought that was amazing.
It was. I mean, to be able to see the way they're able to. I mean, and we'll get into the underwater
like the fighting
stuff.
style. Like, it's not a fighting style I've seen in a superhero movie or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The location where they were fighting.
And also just the way they have to choreograph that between that fighting style and also them being underwater and being weightless.
And also not cutting away. Because again, that was another sequence where the camera just moves around. So how do you tie these three moves here into, another set of moves that's going to happen like up here from a different angle, all without cutting away? I just thought the setup and blocking for that was phenomenal.
I noticed that too with that. I thought that was great.
The next good thing I want to talk about is the Sicily, Italy sequence. So this sequence is also, and a part of it is also in the trailers. That's the one where they're running on the rooftops and stuff is exploding in slow motion. So Arthur and Mira go to land. So they began their quest. They got to go look for the clues to find like the main trident. So this them going ashore, making landfall in Sicily, serves two purposes. Apparently the location of the thing that they need is close by, but also Mira she doesn't like surface dwellers. She doesn't like the way that we treat the environment, treat ourselves. Yeah, she has a disdain for humanity, right? And so Arthur, prior to them getting there, when they're walking through the desert, he's like, yo, the whole world is not desert. There is some beauty in this world. And in the literal sense, the whole earth is not just sand, but also in the metaphorical sense, like, yeah, we have our flaws and we have some bad people, but that's not the entirety of our humanity. We have beauty. We do have our moments, right? Yeah. So anyway, they make landfall in Sicily and Italy, and then that action sequence takes place. Man, again, and also that's when we get to see Black Manta.
Because Orm gives him the. It reminded me too. I guess we could talk a little bit about that. The Atlantean steel, and the new outfit that he kind of retrofits to actually make the Black Manta costume. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was dope. But the Black Manta visage like on screen. And again, I don't know if it was because I was in IMAX 3D, but man, it was so badass. Like, he's so visually, physically imposing, right? Anyway, outside of that, one of the things I like about this sequence is Mira is in the sequence also, and she's not relegated to, sticking next to Arthur Curry, dodging, energy blasts and him like, come on, we got to get out of here or whatever. Yeah. She's off in a different part of the village or wherever, doing her own thing, and she's fucking people up. And so I really enjoyed that. So there's a sequence where one of the Atlanteans, one of the big guards, he activates his armor and he just starts running through walls, right? Yeah. So Mira is on the roof and she's running along the rooftops. This guy senses her up there, so he just starts running through the walls underneath her, right? So they're both traversing this building, through this village, a Mira on the roof, this dude through the walls, right? And instead of cutting from the Atlantean to Mira up top, what James Wan does, he's following directly behind him as he's going through the walls, and then he does a lateral movement out a window and up to the rooftop, and now he's like tracking Mira. I just thought that shit was like so visually inventive. And then the camera pulls back, way back across the way, a couple blocks over, and then we have Arthur and Black Manta fighting, and just the uniqueness of how he shot each action sequences. I don't think, for me, my personal opinion, I think those are the best action sequences in a superhero movie. Just the way that they're shot and how different they are, and I just think that they are. And I love Batman v Superman. I'm one of the few people who love that movie, genuinely love it. I love Man of Steel. Those are my two favorite DCEU movies because I'm biased because Superman is my favorite superhero. And like I said, I love all the Marvel movies, but I don't show me another movie that they shoot action in this way. And then we can continue that conversation from there. Anyway, that sequence ends, and then they go to there's a trench sequence. So they have to go way out into the middle of the sea. There's something that there's a spot that they have to dive down. This sequence, the part of the sequence is also in the trailer. So it's that one shot when it's nighttime, they're on the water and on that boat, and they jump off the boat, and it's lit red by the red flare. Yeah. the build up to that sequence is James Wan. I felt like him going back to his horror roots.
Yeah, it's definitely a horror. Yeah.
Man, those creatures look like something from like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, right? So the ship that they're on, it gets overrun by these creatures, and it starts with like 1 or 2, and then it quickly escalates to the point where they can't stay on the boat. Aquaman lights some flares. He's like, yo, they're from the deep. They don't like the light. So, yo, let's light these flares. And then they jump off the side of that boat. First of all, that overhead shot. So, firstly, you see the profile shot in the trailer. But before they show that, there's an overhead shot of them jumping in the water. And it's this swirling vortex of darkness lit by the flare that they're holding. In 3D, in IMAX 3D, the depth perception... Yeah. Coupled with just the cinematography and how they frame that shot, and then when they do the profile shot, and you see there are millions of those creatures swarming around them. It was breathtaking. That shit was beautiful. So then that leads to a chase sequence, right? They're swimming underwater and there's millions of things are coming after them. And then they get to they go to this they
see this like this beam of light like through like this crevice, and so they're trying to race
right. So basically what they do is they go towards the center of the earth, and the center of the earth in this movie is hollowed out, and it's almost like a prehistoric world, and you got quartz coming out of the ground. It's beautiful, right? So this sequence leads into Aquaman, his whole life was told his mom was dead, right? And so and she died because she had him, you know. Her kingdom was like, yo, you had a son with a human, you got a half-breed son. First you need to lead him and come back to us or whatever. And then when she went back to him, stuff happened, drama happened, and they exiled her and threw her into this trench with all these creatures to die for having a half-breed kid, right? And so that's Arthur's backstory for her. That's all he knew.
Yeah.
So there's a scene, once they get there, Arthur is brought ashore, and Mira comes ashore, and Mira is brought ashore by this masked figure. Turns out it's Arthur's mother, right? So Arthur walks up, he's coming out of the water, Atlantea is standing over Mira, she turns around, Arthur sees her, and it dawned on me in that moment, and I've been paying attention to the exposition, I knew the backstory with his mom, but for whatever reason, in that moment, it hit me that I got the same. I have a similar history. Like, my mother's Japanese, my father's black. You know, her family saying, "Yo, you either choose them or choose us," and her feeling like she had to go to them or whatever. So anyway, him meeting her, like it triggered. Like I would have fantasies when I was younger of what would happen if I ever got to meet my mom again after after thinking I'm never going to see her. So like that moment hit me and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I started tearing up. But anyway, that sequence leads into Arthur. The reason why they go there is because they have to get this trident.
The trident from
Poseidon.
But
from the
Atlan.
king.
From King Atlan.
Right. And so that sequence leads into the king's dead on the throne, right? He exiled himself. He's got the orange and green Aquaman shit on. He's dead on the throne holding the trident.
And it's being guarded by a Leviathan that's voiced by Julie Andrews.
Is that who that was?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. So that sequence I found was... Okay, so from this moment, like once Arthur gets he pulls the trident and James Wan shoots Aquaman in such a way where he is so badass, man. Like when that moment he pulls the trident and he turns around, just the framing, Jason Momoa's silhouette, it's totally comic book. Man, it's so badass. So anyway, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like once he does get the trident, and that whole confrontation with the Leviathan, and he comes back through that waterfall in the orange and green suit, the classic Aquaman suit. I mean, that's his moment. I mean, that's his arc right there. It's like you could see, all right, now we're stepping into the hero, the king, you know, King Arthur. And it's a great moment.
Like King Arthur has to pull the sword from the stone. He has to pull the trident from the shit. Yeah.
So I thought that was a great. I mean, we've seen it in the trailer, like the reveal of that outfit, but then when you see it within context of the actual film, and it's just like, all right, especially going into the third act. I just thought it was great. I thought it was a great moment.
Yeah. So then, like that shit leads into the Great War, right? Their King Orm has the entirety of this film been prepping and trying to incite this war, and it happens, right? But it happens between two kings.
Well, they're fighting. Yeah, they're fighting because I think he has multiple kingdoms on his side, but then like
two. He has the fisherman, and
he has
three. He has three. He has his own Dolph Lundgren's army, and then the fisherman.
And then the fisherman. That's right, because he killed, which was cold.
Yeah.
Was that James Wan?
Yeah. He killed Korath.
He wasn't in it long. So yeah, and then they fighting the crab people. Who are they? I can't remember.
I don't know what they were called, but I tell you what, this sequence, the scale of this sequence, and this is the one in the trailer where like you see the two sides going together, and then that giant thing comes and eats the thing. That ain't even like the main battle. That's a skirmish before Aquaman shows up, right?
Yeah, because now he can control the trench. Because now with the trident, he controls them. And now he's got that whole army on his side. Yeah,
so but the way again, I saw this shit in IMAX 3D, and visually I found it stunning. The scale of the first part of this skirmish was insane to me. Like just not only how many combatants were on, but just how James Wan framed it. I have again in any other superhero movie I have not seen a battle depicted in this way before. I haven't. If there's one, show me. And so anyway, then Aquaman comes and he's riding on the fucking Leviathan.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's got the trench people with him. And so now you add in like a whole other army to this battle battle. And it, again, the way that it was shot and there are so many moments that James Wan frames Aquaman or has him doing something that are so badass. Yeah. There's this one moment where he's riding on this Leviathan. And when I say he's riding on a Leviathan, I mean think something the size of the Kraken from the Clash of the Titans, the old movie, right? And then a normal sized human riding on that motherfucker. That's how Arthur Curry's riding on this. That's the scale, right?
Yeah.
There's a shot where he's coming towards the camera on the Leviathan, and like you said, he's used his power to summon every fucking animal in the sea, every fish in the sea, shark, whatever, whale, shrimp, SpongeBob, Patrick, all of them are behind him, right? And they're making like this vortex, like they're coming towards the camera like in a vortex formation, and he's at the center of it in this Leviathan, and the framing of that and him on that damn Leviathan was so friggin' fire. That shit was so tight. And then in 3D, it just looked amazing, right? Yeah. So anyway, that shit was amazing. And then there's the final confrontation between King Arthur, Aquaman, and King Orm on that boat.
On that boat, yeah.
That shit was tight too.
That was amazing.
Like that's again, like okay. As far as DCEU, I'll say that I don't want to start no Marvel DC debate, but the final fight in Man of Steel. The final fight between them and Doomsday and Batman v Superman, whoever the final fight was in Suicide, Wonder Woman, all those pale in comparison to me, in my opinion, to the matchup between Arthur and King Orm. The way that was shot, man, fucking Ocean Master when he jumps out of the water and lands on the ship and he turns around, like how he's framed like that tilted angle. So he got his own fucking hero shot, and he's the fucking villain.
Oh yeah.
And then just how they were fighting, and how the trident / staff fighting is depicted in it. I just found it exhilarating and badass. Like
I thought that final fight, just the staging of that, and then also just the backdrop of where they were fighting and the way it was lit, and the production design of like the spinning, the propellers spinning and everything like that, it just looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that end fight sequence, and then even that moment between Orm and Nicole Atlanta when he finds out that his mother is still alive.
That joint got me too.
Yeah, because I mean, and then you could see like his character change in that moment as well, and
the whole resolution I found refreshing. It wasn't it wasn't the hero killing the good guy or ambiguously did he or did he not die. It wasn't that type of final confrontation. It was a confrontation of resolution.
Yeah, because he thought the same thing that Arthur thought. He really thought his mother was dead.
Yep.
And he was under the belief from what he learned from his own father that a half breed can't be king, can't be ocean master or king of the seas. So it's his birthright to be king.
Yeah.
And especially with Volko, when he finds out that Volko was going behind his back to try to have Arthur usurp him as the king.
I never even thought about it, but that's that whole hatred it's taught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so I don't know. I kind of dug that resolution that it didn't have to end with them killing the villain.
Yeah.
Because they are brothers.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. Like when he says, when they take him away, he's like, when you're ready, we'll talk. And I was like, okay, we'll see what happens with that character if they decide to do a sequel.
And not to say that they're even going to ever be on the same page, but for Arthur to take that stance, and for even King Orm to even have a moment of reflection, even if he probably, when he goes away, he probably can be like, I don't give a shit, I still want to kill him. But for the ending of that film, I felt like for them to go that route, as opposed to throwing him overboard and him falling to the bottom and maybe he comes up at the end credits or whatever. Instead of doing that, like I felt like I really appreciated them having those characters find some type of resolution, even if it's temporary. Yeah,
man. I mean, movie was decent. I enjoyed it.
I gotta go back and rewatch it. I watched it at IMAX at like an AMC IMAX, but the Smithsonian here in Virginia and also in DC, I think, is actually showing it in the real IMAX with laser projected 3D. I'm gonna go see it there. So now that because I ain't gonna lie, like some parts, like the first 15-20 minutes, I might have dozed off because I was tired. But once I can't even remember why I came in. So there's some shit I gotta go back and see because I probably missed some. I did miss some stuff. But anyway,
that sounds like me with Mary Poppins.
You're not gonna shit on Mary Poppins. Anyway, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it just to, now that I know what to expect, and also maybe I can go in and go a little easy on some of the dialogue. It's still probably gonna bother me, but I'm telling you, man, like from the moment he and Mira fled the arena, from that arena moment on, I love that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it was some like still some lines of
and that's the thing.
It was fucking great to me.
I mean, and I think the structure of the movie really works with everything that you were talking about. But I don't know, just a lot of the comedic tones.
Oh yeah, that fell flat.
And stuff like that. It just kind of took me out of the character moments. So I really couldn't find myself really getting invested.
Yeah.
But you strip all that stuff away, I think what they have narratively on the page, I think really does work. As a great origin story, as a great hero's journey, I think all that stuff really works. But yeah, just some of that stuff I think just kind of gets in the way of really, as me as an audience member, getting invested into the story fully.
Yeah.
But
I tell you what, I know James Cameron and ILM are like shit, man. They gotta step their game up because
there's some inventive stuff, man. When they're underwater,
shit, man, you've never seen visuals or worlds, an alien world depicted in that way, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous,
and all that stuff really works. I mean, just the way they talk underwater, how they have them moving, like the hair, like they were really consistent with a lot of that stuff. Two other points that I wanted to focus on before we end the video was I like and this goes a little bit to the negative, but I like the fact that the way when Orm attacked the surface world by putting the pollution that people had put into the ocean, by him attacking them with their own pollution, I thought that could have been a really interesting commentary on focusing on like the pollutions of the seas and stuff like that. Because there was always a joke before the movie comes out. It's like, oh, if you go to this underwater world, like why don't you show how it really is with like tires and shit and all this stuff. But I like how they really do kind of they touch on that. But it kind of just goes in and out. They don't really do much with that. I wish they would have explored that a little bit more. And then Dolph Lundgren, man. We talk about him a lot. King Nereus. He's having a resurgence, man. He's having his own renaissance.
He's great.
I didn't think he was going to be in the movie as much as I thought he was. That he was going to be in there. But him being the father of Mira and him working with Orm, and then coming to find out, everything at the end and how he kind of changes his tune. But yeah, man, like he was really, really good.
Oh, and Willem Dafoe. I mean, it goes without saying.
Dafoe, yeah, Willem. Yeah, that goes. He was awesome.
So good in the movie. So every time he's on screen.
But it's crazy. Like thinking about Dolph Lundgren, like he does like a lot of these Universal Soldier straight to video, and he's kind of been relegated in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, probably before Expendables. Like straight to VOD guy, you know, like nobody gave him much merit for anything.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of getting back, you know, getting some of these bigger roles and like really big features. I think it's fucking awesome.
And it's cool. It's cool that like him and also Stallone are. Yeah. Their roles are growing into their age, their actual age. So, Dolph Lundgren, because he's up there now. I mean, but he has the gravitas where you believe he's that king. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you look at Stallone and Creed, and you see the experience and the pain and the life that he's lived on his face. And he doesn't even really have to do much in the way of dialogue to get that across. No,
and I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this Rambo Last Blood that he's doing. So I think that's going to really serve just to that point as far as the age on his face. Jean-Claude Van Damme's the same way. Like all these cats.
I thought you were about to say he's in fucking Rambo Last Blood. God damn it, give me that movie. Give me that movie.
Oh my god.
But it's right. But you're right. Like his show JCVD, is hilarious. Oh, I'm sorry, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. JCVD is the movie. Jean-Claude Van Johnson. It played into him being an aged veteran, ex-martial artist, movie star. And
even that movie I saw at Fantastic Fest, The Bouncer, which wasn't that great, but he was great in it. And it plays with his age and, you know, how worn he is on his face. And,
all right, Hollywood, what y'all doing with the old dudes? Y'all need to start doing that with the women. Like, just because a woman ain't 21 years old don't mean she can't knock some roles out, man.
Dude, we about to get Linda Hamilton coming back. Sarah Connor coming back next year.
Yeah, but let her bring it. Goddamn.
Sarah Connor coming back.
That movie, man.
Dude, I'm telling you. Wait, I'm going to be talking about that in one of my year-end videos coming up. Oh yeah,
okay.
Most anticipated.
All right, man.
But yeah, man. Aquaman. Anything else before we wrap this thing up?
I dug it, man. I dug it.
Yeah. So those are our initial thoughts for the film for Aquaman. It's in theaters now, so go ahead and check it out. Once you've seen it, again, this is a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the film, put this video on pause. Go watch the movie. Come back. See our thoughts. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Remember to go ahead, rate, like, subscribe, share. I am the Turtle Dork. This is DiscoDork. Check out our other dorks at Mouth Dork, at Sidewalk Siren, at WB Das. And we are out.